Every single night, your conscious mind is completely hijacked. You fly through impossibly vivid landscapes, fight invisible monsters, and live entire secondary lifetimes, all while completely paralyzed in the dark. For thousands of years, humanity assumed these bizarre nocturnal movies were messages sent directly from the gods, or perhaps terrifying whispers from wandering demons. But modern neuroscience has pulled back the curtain, revealing something far more shocking. Dreaming isn't an accidental byproduct of sleep. It is an active, aggressive biological survival mechanism. If you stop dreaming entirely, your brain begins to misfire. Your memories shatter, your emotional stability collapses, and sanity literally slips through your fingers. Why do we require this nightly madness? To understand the purpose of a dream, we first have to bust a massive myth. When you go to sleep, your brain does not just switch off and go dark. In fact, during a specific phase called REM, or rapid eye movement sleep, parts of your brain are actually more metabolically active than they are right now while you watch this. In the 1950s, researchers monitoring sleeping infants noticed something bizarre. Their eyes were darting wildly beneath their lids, like they were watching an intense, invisible tennis match. When they woke these subjects up during REM sleep, absolute silence, a black void. This proved dreaming wasn't random noise scattered across the night. It was tied to a precise neurological state. But that left an evolutionary riddle that baffled scientists for decades. Think about it. While dreaming, you are unconscious, completely blind to reality, and totally defenseless against predators. Why would evolution preserve a trait so incredibly dangerous? The answer began to emerge when scientists looked at what we actually dream about. It turns out your dream world isn't an arbitrary fantasy land. It is heavily weighted toward a very specific emotion: fear. This is the core of threat simulation theory. Your brain isn't trying to entertain you while you rest. It is running an offline, high-fidelity military flight simulator for life or death scenarios. In the safety of your bed, your brain forces you to confront your worst nightmares, being chased by a predator, falling from a height, or public humiliation, so you can practice your response by rewiring your neural pathways during these simulated crises. You wake up better equipped to survive real-world dangers. It's evolutionary training software that costs 0 calories. But dreams aren't just about preparing for future terrors. They are equally obsessed with sorting through your past. Enter the master archivist of your mind, the sleep consolidation process. Every day you absorb a chaotic fire hose of information: sights, sounds, facts, and conversations. If your brain kept everything raw, your mental hard drive would crash. During REM sleep, your brain systematically replays the day's events. It strips away the useless background noise and cements the critical lessons into long-term storage. But here's the brilliant twist. While your brain is filing these memories away, it doesn't do it quietly. It cross-references them with everything you've ever experienced before. It blends them. This bizarre cross-referencing is why your dreams feel so surreal. Your brain might take a stressful conversation you had with your boss today and mash it up with your childhood fear of a clown. It sounds like chaotic madness, but this is actually the birthplace of human creativity. By forcing distant, unrelated ideas to collide, your brain discovers unexpected connections. History is filled with monumental breakthroughs born entirely inside a dream. Take Dmitri Mendeleev, the brilliant chemist who had spent years desperately trying to organize the elements. He fell asleep exhausted, and in his own words, he saw a table where all the elements fell into place precisely as required. He woke up and immediately wrote down the periodic table. Without the unconstrained associative sandbox of the dream world, some of humanity's greatest leaps in science and art might never have crossed the finish line. But there is a third, deeply vital function happening under the hood while you dream. It is a form of intensive, overnight therapy. Dreaming acts as a biological emotional eraser. When you experience a traumatic or highly stressful event during the day, your brain locks in that memory wrapped in a massive burning chemical shell of stress hormones. If that burning shell remains intact, you develop PTSD. Every time you recall the memory, you relive the exact same agonizing panic as if it were happening all over again. But during REM sleep, a miraculous neurochemical event occurs. Your brain completely shuts off the production of noradrenaline, the primary stress chemical of your nervous system. This is the only time in your entire life your brain is completely free of anxiety chemicals. It creates a perfectly calm, insulated virtual clean room for psychological processing. Inside this anxiety-free clean room, your brain replays the traumatic memory over and over. But because there are no stress chemicals active, the experience no longer hurts. You dissolve the raw emotional sting, stripping away the painful charge. You remember the informational content of the event, but you are finally freed from its emotional prison. Think of dreaming as an automatic nightly tech support update. It tests your survival software, defragments your cognitive hard drive, and patches your emotional vulnerabilities. But what happens when this delicate internal balance is disrupted? What happens when a culture systematically denies its population the critical, non-negotiable right to dream?
We live in a world driven by blue light screens, high-stress occupations, and synthetic alarms that snap us out of REM sleep before the dream cycle can finish its critical work. When you cut off REM sleep, you aren't just losing rest. You are actively accumulating an unprocessed backlog of emotional stress and shattered, fragmented memories. Scientists have discovered that chronic dream deprivation causes the brain to become desperate. It gets so starved for dreams that it begins to force them into your waking reality. This is the true origin of extreme sleep deprivation hallucinations. It is the dream engine breaking its structural gates, flooding your conscious mind with raw, uninsulated subconscious imagery. It proves an absolute biological truth. Your brain demands madness. It requires a dedicated period of surreal insanity every single day just to keep you functional and sane. So tonight, how do we reclaim this vital evolutionary gift? The journey begins by respecting the transition, by allowing our minds to naturally step down from the hyper-focused noise of modern life. When you switch off the screens an hour before bed and allow the darkness to trigger your natural melatonin, you aren't just setting up a good night's sleep. You are opening the laboratory doors. You are unleashing the flight simulator that keeps you brave. You are funding the master archivist that keeps you smart. And you are unlocking the internal therapist that keeps you whole. We are not mechanical assembly line robots designed to run continuously until our gears grind away into dust. We are complex, deeply narrative biological creatures. Every single night, your biology demands that you surrender your waking control, step completely off the edge of reality, and immerse yourself in the beautiful, restorative theater of the mind. So tonight, when the world grows quiet and your eyes grow heavy, do not fear the strange landscapes that await you. Welcome them. They are the reason you are human.